All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this, well, it's the third talk of the session, but welcome to my talk. I'm Omer. This is going to be the presentation I'm going to make, titled Investigating Influencer VPN Ads on YouTube. These are all my co-authors, Richard, Moses, Dave, and Michelle. Moses was at Clemson. He just graduated. The rest of us are at the University of Maryland. Now, a common goal, or one of the common goals of the usable security community in the past couple of years was to understand mental models, or what users understand of security and privacy tools. We think we found another influence on mental models of security and privacy, namely these influencer VPN ads. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have seen these if you watch YouTube, but these are essentially ads created by the creators of the videos themselves, put directly inside the videos, not served by YouTube. And they talk about a lot of stuff. I'll show you an example just in case you haven't seen any. This is going to be by a YouTuber called DJ Cook with a respectable 1.5 million subscribers. And the video is about Fortnite, but it has a VPN ad in it, and I want you to watch it. So let's watch.
Now the title of this video is Meet the Fortnite Scammers, and NordVPN picked the best video to sponsor because a VPN can easily prevent you from being scammed. And no, I'm not talking about on Fortnite, but even worse. Maybe your credit card information is stored on a website. Somebody could get into that. But if you have NordVPN, you don't have to worry.
Yeah, so I've got news. VPN is not going to protect your credit cards that's stored on a server somewhere else. So that's misleading there.
It's a privacy thing with a boatload of other benefits. I promise if you go ahead and give NordVPN a try, you won't ever have to worry about anything on the internet again. You'll be safe. One of my friends actually uses NordVPN, and it's made his internet experience way better. He doesn't have to worry about anything, and he can do what he wants.
Okay, again, clear overstatement. A VPN is not going to give you all the security and privacy you want in the world.
Download NordVPN from the link in the description.
Okay, so this is a clear ad, and unfortunately we saw a lot of crazy statements being made in here. And as our results will just show in a second, this is not an isolated example of VPN ads on YouTube. In fact, they're quite widespread. This one alone got 1.1 million views. And what's more concerning is that they have an educational tone to them. They're almost teaching you what internet security and privacy should be, what a VPN should give you. Even more concerning is looking at the prior work, mental models of security and privacy tools. Researchers have been looking at this for a while, especially in the context of instant messaging, instant secure messaging, and now VPNs, because people are starting to use those. And they ask questions such as, do people understand what they're using? Do they understand the guarantees of the tools that they're using? And are they using them correctly? And the answer turns out to be no in a lot of cases. And so we think that this influence on VPN mental models and more broadly, security and privacy mental models could potentially be a bad one. So that's why we investigated them. And we had a couple goals in mind. We wanted to measure the prevalence of these ads. So how many of them are out there? What's the reach? We want to characterize what they said. So what's in them, what's being actually portrayed. And we want our results to be generalizable and not just anecdotal. So we design our methodology with that in mind. And we analyze, once we get the videos that we want to analyze with the VPN ads in them, we analyze them through qualitative means, which essentially means we sat through and systematically watched and labeled all the VPN ads that we found. Now, in order to do that, we need to first find the VPN ads. And this is roughly how we did it. We first start off with all of YouTube. That's all of YouTube, trust me. And we use this thing called a random prefix sample, which essentially allows you to get a random sample of YouTube. In our case, we got about 87 million videos, about 1.4% of YouTube, according to our estimates, by the end of 2020. If you want any details on this, it's in the paper. It's another paper from 10 years ago. Now, that sample is great, 87 million, that's a lot of videos, but where are the VPN ads in them? Well, this is how we found the VPN ads. We downloaded the English videos subtitles first, and then we searched for VPN in this. And this works surprisingly well, but it gives us a noisy candidate data set of about 1,700 videos. which we then sat down and watched systematically, and we found what a VPN ad is. We got about 243 VPN ads in videos. That's about 63 million views. We also labeled what was in them while we were doing this. And because, remember, this is a random sample, because it's a random sample, you can scale it up to all of YouTube, which means by the end of 2020, there were about 16,000 videos on YouTube that had VPN ads in them, with billions upon billions of views in total. So quite a widespread reach they're getting. Now, we labeled, like I said, we labeled all this videos. What do we do with it exactly? What's the analysis? We looked at the obvious question, what do the videos say? We looked at the more problematic claims. What can a VPN actually provide you versus what's being claimed it can provide you? We looked at changes over time. So VPN ads seem to appear about in 2016. How does that compare to end of 2020? And finally, I'm just going to get rid of this mask. And finally, we compared different VPN companies to each other. Do they have the same thing advertised about VPNs? I won't talk about all of them, but I'll go through some. Let's start off with what's in a VPN ad. One of the more surprising findings we had is that VPNs are often pitched as a content consumption tool. In this case, Renee says, stream your country's streaming services and get access to all those titles, referring to the case where you're traveling, your streaming service you're using uses geo-restrictions to separate libraries between countries, and you want your home country's library. Unsurprisingly, a lot of it is about utility for security and privacy. These include technical claims. This person says, a VPN service encrypts your connection and provides you with anonymous IP. We saw a lot of broad claims, such as this one. You're completely anonymous, again, if you use a VPN, of course. And finally, threat statements. We found these quite interesting. Here's an example. Hackers can exploit unsecured connections to get inside your system. Now, because we found these so interesting, we wanted to dig deeper. And this is how we did it. So this is a VPN ad. And here's what they say in the ad at some point. Your internet service provider can see every single website you visited. The way we label these is in 3 parts. We start off with the adversary, the internet service provider in this case, what they do, they see, and finally the asset they're going after. In this case, it's your browsing history. They say every single website you visited. Because we did this labeling, we were able to distill the threat model conveyed by YouTube through these VPN ads to all the users. So we identified common adversaries, what they do, and the assets. Let's look at some of these in more detail. Let's follow these flows. The ISP, it seems like the ISP mostly does surveillance and a little bit of dissemination. That's essentially selling. And what they're selling or surveilling is your internet activity for the most part. Which, that makes sense. Let's look at the government. The government is similar, but different in a unique way. It, again, surveils for the most part. But this time, it's yourself, or everything. It's more broad, seemingly more powerful. Finally, let's look at the hacker and the vague adversary. The vague adversary is just, the people or the mean people, whatever. It's vague. But it's very similar to the hacker. You can see that these guys are all over the place. They do everything. But one thing I want to attract your attention to is they do this forcefully take thing, which is essentially just saying they're stealing or grabbing, they're taking it from you. And these are mostly your passwords, your credit card information. You can see some of the lesser frequent examples are your device sensors, such as your webcam and your microphone. So quite alarming stuff that they're conveying here. And the implication is that, what they imply in these videos is that the VPN can protect against all these threats. All right, now that's a quick overview of what's in a VPN ad. But I want to show you some of the more alarming, more concerning statements made. Starting off with overpromises and exaggerations. You guys just watched this. I promise if you go ahead and give NordVPN a try, you won't ever have to worry about anything on our internet again. You'll be safe. Clear overstatement. This might lead users to think that using a VPN is going to give them all the security and privacy, and they might do more sketchy things, which is pretty concerning. We saw a lot of YouTubers talk about financial data and credential protection if you use a VPN. So this person says, so no one can see your passwords if you use a VPN, of course. And this might have been true in the early 2000s when HTTPS wasn't really a thing. But we'd argue that you'd have a pretty hard time finding a reputable website that deals with credentials or deals with financial information that doesn't use HTTPS. And if your HTTPS is broken, you've got way more to worry about than just using a VPN. Finally, we got outright confusing or false statements, such as Gary over here claims he can actually digitally shred files using military-grade encryption. I don't know what military-grade encryption really means. I have no clue what this statement means. All right. Now, that's a general characterization of what a VPN ad looks like. But we also saw that not all VPN companies have the same thing advertised about them. And I'll make this point by showing you two graphs first. We'll start off with what video genre do VPN ads appear in. And I'll compare Surfshark and Virtual Shield, two VPN companies. Starting off with Surfshark, they seem to advertise about everywhere, maybe a bit more biased towards lifestyle, which is essentially vlogs and beauty channels and whatnot. But Virtual Shield, they really like society and politics. And in fact, if you dig a little bit deeper, this is usually far-right and or conspiratorial videos on the American internet. And recall that it's the YouTubers that are creating these videos. It's not the VPN companies. And so the content bleeds into the VPN ads themselves. So if we look at this other graph here, what do VPN ads talk about? And again, comparing Surfshark to Virtual Shield, we'll see that Surfshark likes to talk about credentials a lot. In fact, comparing it to all the other VPN companies, Surfshark is the one that talks about it the most. But if you look at Virtual Shield, they really, really like to talk about the government threat. And if you're not aware, in the United States, the right wing likes to talk about how there's government overreach, and they're concerned by it. So you clearly see this manifest in the ads themselves. They're tailoring towards the audience. They're tailoring towards what's the content in the channel. Now, these are just graphs. So let me show you the actual quotes, just for some context. Surfshark notifies you in case your passwords appears in a leaked database. Would you like to keep your passwords private? Again, you need to use Surfshark for this, presumably. And then with Virtual Shield, reclaim your right to privacy from intruding governments. And the United Kingdom and Australian governments just killed your privacy, again, implying that getting Virtual Shield is going to protect you from this. All right. Now, we saw that these things can be concerning. How can we make them more accurate? How can we make them better? We identified a couple different parties that can help with this. Starting off with VPN companies themselves. They're the people who are funding this whole ecosystem, paying people to say stuff about their products. They can create clear guidelines and enforce these guidelines when they review the ads, because we kind of know that they do review the ads. What we think really needs to happen, and we didn't really see much evidence of this in the videos, is acknowledging limitations. VPNs will not give you all the security and privacy in the world. They won't make you absolutely secure and private. They can help, and their limitations need to be acknowledged as such. YouTubers are the ones that are creating these ads, so they have the responsibility of understanding the products before they advertise it to not be misleading to their audiences. And finally, government agencies. We know that there are, in the United States, FTC has a history of going after false advertisers, including influencers on Instagram and whatnot, so they might have to play a role in here as well. Now, this work primarily focused on measuring what a VPN ad is, but we also argue that we need to understand influence on users as future work, looking at impact on users in terms of VPN mental models, so what users understand a VPN can give them, but also internet security and privacy mental models because of the threat statements. They're pretty broad. And finally, we're concerned of the adoption of untrustworthy VPNs. If you look at prior work, there's a lot of sketchy VPNs out there, outright malicious or misimplementations that hurt privacy and whatnot. So we're concerned about that. All right, to sum up, VPN ads are incredibly widespread on YouTube. If you scale it up, they got billions of views as of end of 2020. They say a lot of information. They have this educational tone, but they also include false information, unfortunately. We're concerned about the impact on users, the mental models of VPNs, and internet security and privacy in general, and we explore who can make this better. With that, I am happy to take questions.
This looks like plenty of questions.
Hi, Sabrina from CISPA here. Thank you for the amazing talk. I've seen these ads a lot, especially in front of video game or pop culture videos. So I'm wondering if you have any findings on the target groups of them?
Yes, so we initially thought that maybe some channels would get them more than others, and that certainly is the case. But I think the takeaway we have is that they appear everywhere on YouTube. They're not representative of like the YouTube genres in terms of percentages, but they appear everywhere. They're on car videos, they're on beauty channels, they're everywhere. Tech videos.
Did you show NordVPN your research? So because I think in the first video there was an affiliation link, and yeah, I really want to know if they are aware of what's happening in those videos and if they do actions against it.
So we've tried in a couple different ways. Some of them are aware. We don't really have a communication with them. We tried looking at the relationship between the YouTubers and the VPN companies. We have like anecdotal evidence in the paper if you want to read it, but it's, we can't characterize it that well.
Okay, and very nice talk, thank you.
Thanks.
Hello, Omer from University of Washington. Really nice talk. One question, did you see any correlation between the overclaims and the content of the videos? Maybe better videos that have better content have less overclaims as compared to the others?
That's a pretty good point. Unfortunately, we didn't do that analysis. I don't know if our data set is large enough, although I think it's pretty good to characterize videos. I don't know how specific we can get with like these. I don't know. So overclaims we saw about in 10-15% of our videos. I don't know how much generalization we can make in terms of statistical significance.
Thank you.
Hi, Yuvraj Agarwal from Carnegie Mellon. Thank you for your talk, really entertaining. I wanted to ask sort of a follow-up, as in how many of these videos that you find had a referral link, because that would sort of tell you that it's not, and it's the referral link is on the provider, so it's not like they're not aware, right? So presumably that is even more surprising that they know about it and they're paying out and then still like letting them sort of do wrong things. And then sort of a related question, did you see the level of overclaiming with the popularity of the VPN? Meaning, was it like small providers only who are like just claiming anything just to be able to sort of get market share, or?
So let me start off with the second one, and then the first one was about referral. All right. The second one, so NordVPN is one of the biggest advertisers, and they clearly have crazy stuff. Express does too. I don't think it, like the small ones also say crazy stuff. I don't think there's a correlation between how popular they are versus not. Affiliate links, I think almost everyone had them, except maybe one or two. The way this works, from what we can gather, is that either they can directly talk to the VPN company themselves, or some VPN companies will just have a page where you sign up, they just give you a link, and you can post it wherever to make money. Or there are affiliate networks. There was a great poster yesterday where they will just outsource it to another company to do their affiliate marketing.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hello, I'm Claudio from University of Washington. Thank you for your talk. And I want just to ask you, do you think there were like some specific events in the political scenario or in the social context that lead to an exponential increase of VPN usage and the spreading of this advertising too? Thank you.
I think the reason these ads got really popular is that someone figured out they worked. I think someone figured out that influencer marketing really works. And once someone starts to make money, everyone jumped on the bandwagon. I think that's the explanation. I can't know for sure. That's speculation.
Hi, Victor from Levin. Great talk. Did you see any honest advertisers or influencers who said the right things, they knew what they were talking about?
That's a good point. Yep. There were a couple, these were the minority, there were a couple that were very nicely phrased. They didn't overclaim anything, they just stated what a VPN actually does for you. These generally appeared in tech channels, like people who actually know the technology. But I think for the most part, they don't look good.
Do you know who provides the scripts? Is it mostly the companies, or are it really the influencers on their own to?
We know some of them are ad reads. That's the minority. We know that they provide guidelines, but adherence to that guideline is a question. I don't think they do. I think a lot of them get a lot of leeway in terms of what they can say, as long as they can make the sell. Who cares what they're talking about, I think is the general sentiment.
Okay, thanks.
All right, let's thank Omer again. Thank you.